Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Now, here's your host, WCRN's Hank Stoltz.
Good afternoon, I'm Hank Stoltz, and thank you so much for joining us here on QCC's Face the Region. Today we're going to be speaking with Professor Jacob Longacre. Professor, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Glad to be here.
Been here with us before. You know what, why don't we take a minute, find out a little bit about you, about your specialty, about some of the things that you do here at QCC, and because I think that'll be a good way to set up for the fact that we're going to talk a little bit about advanced technology and the opportunities for students to be able to get into the field of advanced technology.
Industry and with government, I worked for the DoD for a while and worked with some different companies. And then I actually started my own business. I was designing toys, which I had a great time with. But my idea, sort of my career arc, was to try to get back at some point to teaching. And really, throughout my background, I'd always been doing some teaching here and there, but a lot of it was informal. A lot of it was the idea that, as we've talked about before, a lot of the areas that we deal with, there's a lot of technologies that overlap and have to interweave to make a certain system work. So the requirement was to have people who would know multiple technologies, not just the technology or the background that they were trained in. So part of my job throughout my career was to bring other people up to speed and actually to ask the questions from whoever could help me if I wasn't up to speed. So there was always sort of a Tyro-tutor process going on in all my background. And I was always interested in going back and getting involved in the little bit more formal education aspect so that I could get involved on a more direct level with the education.
Isn't that interesting? All right, so Department of Defense, toys, which is an interesting leap right there.
Yes.
But then was there like just this moment, you say it was that the career arc, and you were just talking about this a little bit, but where you really said, I really do want to get back into the teaching mode?
I think that was something that was always there. And part of it, I guess, is the combination of wanting to give back, but another part of it really is just the whole, what I would call the aha moment. And it's basically when you come up with some new concept or some idea that really intrigues you. And for me, I can do that every once in a while, but it's catch as catch can. You know, you try to find new things that are interesting. But equally interesting to me is presenting that aha moment to others, that point where they figure something out and are really excited about it. And teaching is what I can do that with. I mean, you don't get it with everybody. You don't get it every day. You have your ups and downs. But whenever I get to that point where I can work with a student and feel that they've gone from that feeling of frustration with a topic or a subject to actually feeling like, no, this makes sense. This has value. That is a really exciting point for me.
Jacob, why QCC? What brought you specifically here?
QCC was specifically starting up a photonics program and connecting it in a way that I thought was very, very good with electronics and looking at the potential for interlinking it with other areas. So to me, the photonics itself was interesting, the optics, and the idea that they were going to link it and have it interwoven, or at least that concept was incredibly valuable, because to me, that's exactly where things are going. Everything is going to be not a simple subject, but a combination of things. So we need to be able to train people to be ready for that.
Now, one of the places that some of these aha moments take place, so that you can see it in the student's eyes, is this in the Fab Labs, and I want to find out a little bit about the Fab Lab here at QCC.
We're just starting up our Fab Lab, and so, but to me, the most exciting thing about a Fab Labs and makerspaces, all those things where people can work on science, but actually get their hands dirty and work right in there with equipment and actually make what they're thinking about into a reality. To me, the tremendous value of those things is that I think there's a lot of struggle with students going from the concept of I can create an image or a 3D thing or a drawing, but I'll never take it further. You know, it'll never get to be something physical. So it's kind of an interesting practice, but it's not really, doesn't have any deeper value. The Fab Lab, to me, is a place where a lot of people, students, people from the community, et cetera, have the chance to actually realize I can design it and I can make it. I can actually make it happen. I can make a physical part that I can use to start a business or to fix my toaster. Whatever, you can actually create it. You can actually see the embodiment of your concept. And what that leads to not only is the empowerment of you can do this, but it also leads to the idea that if your idea isn't perfect, you don't have to try to make it perfect before you can go anywhere. You can try it out. You can, as they say, fail quickly, all right? Try it, see what's wrong with the part you just created so that you can improve it. So you can get an iterative process where you actually just get, you try it, this part fails, so you fix that. Then the next issue comes up, but you're allowed then to fail and succeed after multiple tries, as opposed to trying to perfect it on paper or on a computer. And to me, again, that's tremendously valuable.
Sure, and isn't that incredible? And that's going to be happening right here at QCC. So the Fab Lab is still, in Fab, of course, fabrication. It's fabulous as well, but Fab for fabrication. This is something that is just now starting to come online at QCC.
Correct. We have a new building coming online, the Quest Center, and that's going to be part of that Quest Center. It's being built in, so we have a brand new facility that's designed for it. It's much more open and available, and it's really designed to allow interaction, because one of the goals of a lot of these things is to have people work together, to be open about what they're doing and to share. That in the Fab Lab concept, that's a big aspect, to not just be involved in the I want to create this or learn how to do it, but then also I want to work as part of a group or as part of a community to try to learn stuff and share it and help each other figure out how to make these concepts work.
All right. We'll talk a little bit more about the Fab Lab, ITAC, and the technology that is located within these buildings, and all of this that is happening right here at QCC, including this brand new Quest building that is coming online as well. So there's a lot happening at Quinsigamond Community College. We'll be hearing more about it from Professor Jacob Longacre coming up on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. QCC's Face the Region continues on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Hank Stoltz. We're having a conversation with Professor Jacob Longacre, and we were just talking about the fabrication lab. We were talking about the way in which not only are students preparing themselves for these careers in technology, but the technology itself that it kind of takes Professor Longacre to actually have. To actually allow the students to go in and create some of these things. Now ITAC, I mean, this is some more of the technology that is happening here on the campuses, and even the technology within this. Is it a cluster of buildings, or it's all going to be mostly in one main building?
It's more distributed at this point. What we're really looking at trying to do in a lot of these areas is we're really trying to provide technology that the students will see out in the workplace, so that they can get comfortable with it, be familiar with it, so that it's not brand new. And this is a combination of things. It can be simulators, and it can be the actual equipment. And so the idea is to provide students with the experience to work with different kinds of equipment. And this is CAD equipment, it's different 3D sort of production level equipment, but it's also then equipment that can be used in the prototyping structure. So equipment that's smaller, more flexible, they can use more readily, more easily used, but probably not in the production level. So again, we're trying to provide the student with multiple options so that we can have students work at different levels. And then the other side we're trying to do is integrate as much as we can with the local industries so that students can work in different areas and learn the equipment that is available, but they can also then work with industry people either at that organization or, again, with our equipment. And ideally, we'd like to get to the point where our equipment is such that we actually can have industry come in and work with us on development. So that when they're looking for something, especially with small companies, where they're looking for development or prototyping, that we can help them out with that and actually build a closer link. I mean, our ideal would be that you have industry coming in and then we help, but the main thing is that the students get involved.
Right.
So we have industry coming in and students solving the problems.
So, I mean, is it work study? Is it an internship? It's even different than that, though. I mean, the kind of relationship that you would have with these businesses, where really that the student then would be going, taking classes at QCC, get their degree, and really seamlessly be able to go right into the workplace here in Central Massachusetts.
Correct. And for us, it would all ideally be something where all those options would be available. So could it be work study? Could it be an internship? Could it be something where they're doing solving a problem for a given industry at QCC? Any of those would be possible. And again, our ideal would be that they could do different aspects of it at different points and be able to move from one venue to another without it really being an issue. So that if the problem was better solved at the industry, wonderful, we'll do it there. On the other hand, if there were some tools that they could work out details with or prototype something that the company didn't have, again, it's really trying to develop a partnership with the students, QCC, and the industry partners so that we can all work together and really ideally find the win-win-win for all three groups.
Well, it seems incredible, too, that this is one of those leaps forward where students of just maybe 5 years ago, the opportunities to today's student coming in with the Fab Lab coming on, with the Quest building being on campus, that this sort of hands-on and this sort of opportunity is one that just didn't really exist even in the recent past.
I think that's true. I think it's always a progression, but I feel like right now we're progressing faster.
Yeah.
We're accomplishing a lot right now.
So it's always been cutting edge, but so maybe I shouldn't say that it's just QCC or the Fab Lab. It's really the technology itself that is taking this leap forward.
And I think part of the situation that's occurring is more and more the technology is essential. So that, for instance, back in the dark ages when I was going to school, there were a lot of areas where you could work on a piece of equipment or work in an industry where a lot of it was closer to a combination of art and science. And now there's really a necessity that you're able to work with computers to do all this. So computers control the machines and computers control the different processes much more so than in the past. And that process is just accelerating. So the need to be able to work with this equipment is increasing. But the other side of it is, so the positive side of it is, once you've learned that language, once you've kind of broken into that world, there's a huge amount that can be done. And it can be done, again, on a garage level or on a huge industry level. So the potential for starting your own business or working in a big organization are there once you've learned these basic tools. I mean, for me, a lot of it boils down to it's like learning a language. Once you've learned that language, it opens up whole new areas that you can function in. But until you've learned it, you kind of feel like an outsider who can't do anything with it. And our job is to get people to feel comfortable with this and feel like this is an opportunity, not a block to what they can do.
We're speaking with Professor Jacob Longacre here on QCC's Face the Region, advanced technology happening here at QCC. You mentioned the businesses, and clearly that seems, we have a lot of tech businesses that are located here in central Massachusetts. Worcester, the second largest city in New England, but really a driver of the economy in Massachusetts as well through those businesses. Students working with that, Get that. That certainly seems natural. How about for the rest of the community, though? I mean, it may not be that it's a high-tech business, but could it be possible in the future, or maybe it's happening now, that somebody who is one of the community partners, maybe even a nonprofit, says, hey, here's our problem. Why don't we bring it to the students at QCC and see if they can work on it and help us with that?
Absolutely. That's exactly the kind of thing that to us would be terrific. There are industries in the area that are very technologically advanced, and we would like to work with them and provide students who can work with them. But we are very interested also in working with companies and startups and everything else that don't have the technology and in many ways don't want to reinvent the wheel just for their small organization. So if they're looking for a specific task or a specific thing that they need, a widget, a concept, then to me that's exactly where we want to be. We want to be able to provide that resource to the region so that a company that doesn't want to have to buy advanced equipment or necessarily have to train their people to do it can come to QCC on a either specific item situation, on a semi-regular or on a regular basis, so that we can help out with their issues on a very, without them having to put a lot of capital into a solution.
And then what a great thing for the student to be able to put on his resume.
Exactly. I mean, to me, a lot of times in the world of upper level education, in master's degrees and PhDs, students work to try to get publications. To us, it would be exciting if they could, as you said, put on their resume, I worked with this organization to create this. I mean, actual products and actual solutions. That's a huge benefit both to the student and to the company. So that's very exciting to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Something very concrete. We're going to wrap it up with Professor Jacob Longacre. We've been talking about some advanced technology here at QCC, and that's straight ahead on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Hank Stoltz, and this is QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. We've been visiting with Professor Jacob Longacre in this half hour, and we were just talking about ITAC. I suppose I should actually ask you, this is probably where I should have started. What does ITAC actually stand for?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have defined that. ITAC is Innovative Technology Acceleration Center, and the whole concept is the idea of providing a resource that would allow us to do exactly that, to take technology and be able to provide it quicker, to get out there so that people can actually use it. I mean, there's lots of exciting things going on in the world, but even keeping up with it is difficult enough. And if you're running a company, you just don't have time to fight with a lot of that stuff. So for us, that's where we'd like to provide, to actually be a resource to help out with industry, to especially small companies, to be able to provide that technology and the information about it. At the same time, we want to make sure our students are aware and conversant in the latest technology that they can access.
So let's talk about that for a few minutes then, Jacob. So a student comes in now here, and you told us a little bit about your background. So I mean, so you kind of really left good careers in the private sector to be able to come and to be able to teach because you wanted to sort of impart this knowledge. So a student comes to QCC. What do they get when they go into one of these advanced technology fields, whether it's photonics and optics or maybe it's something else? But what is it that they sort of get at QCC they might not be able to get somewhere else, or the focus of what's happening? One of the reasons why we have ITAC and the Fab Lab.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the main thing that we're trying to give a student is a process and a home where they can go from the very basics of a given technology so that they can get a very strong core all the way up to actually working with the technology of an industry and then ideally learning about what's the next step as well, so that they can actually have a comfort level with here's how it works, here's the latest stuff so you know the ins and outs of the specific stuff out there, and then here's some of the concepts, here's some of the work that's going on right now that'll lead on, that'll be the next step, so that they have an awareness of where the field is. I think one of the tricky things about all technology is that we operate in industry in different levels. One industry can be working with the latest equipment, and another industry doesn't need that. So they're working with equipment that's a few years old, but absolutely provides their needs very well. So we need students that can be able to function in today's environment and in tomorrow's environment, but also have the background so that if they need to switch from one end to the other, they can handle it.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I always find fascinating each week, too, is QCC really plays with the big boys. I mean, it's much more of a level playing field than I might have thought before I began hearing more about it. And from that, I mean, the partnerships that you have with some major colleges, but even in this area, WPI, for example, might be, certainly is well known throughout the country, but through partnerships with WPI and even just through what you've told us today, it seems as if employers, really comparable when they are coming to students and for certain needs with many of these other, perhaps at this moment, maybe even better known schools around the country.
Well, I feel that we do partner with a lot of different organizations because each organization can provide different resources for a student. I feel that the community colleges and QCC specifically can really provide a great starting point, a great leaping off point for students to figure out what they want and to learn how the basics work, to figure out the technology. And then they can either go out to work after that, or they can go on to a 4-year college or beyond that. They can get their master's, etc. But each place has a terrific role to play. And I think the community colleges are in a great position to provide specially arranged and specially focused things for the community, for the students of a community and for the industry of a community.
Yeah. How many years for you now at QCC?
Oh, I'm about 2 now, so I'm
right.
really new here.
You really have just begun. Well,
yes.
But I think that's so really kind of that fresh take on it at the same time that all of this is happening. So you're really here at the same time that these things are exploding.
For me, it's tremendously exciting. I think there's so many opportunities in terms of what we can do as an organization unto itself, QCC, but especially as we can function as partners with the community, both the community itself, the industry around us, and especially with the students, because we've got an amazing group of people in our students who really have so much potential, and it's really up to us to try to help them find what they can do and really develop it.
Yeah, people want to find out more about what we're talking about today. Best just go to the main web page, or there's some other resources that they might be able to access.
The main web page is a great benefit. To me, anything that students can learn in terms of looking at both the QCC website and then just finding out the kinds of technologies that are out there. So, for me, I feel like, check all the information you can, check the WPIs and everything else and see what your focus is, and then check out QCC as well, because I think we can help you, if not getting you to your final goal, we can do a great job getting you started.
Absolutely. Professor Jacob Longacre, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And as always, thank you for joining us right here on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830, WCRN.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region with your host, Hank Stoltz. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.